Most moms assume that if their child is fed, safe, and loved, they're doing everything right. But some of the most damaging parenting patterns don't come from neglect or cruelty. They come from small, well-intentioned habits repeated every single day, habits so normal that nobody ever questions them. These aren't dramatic failures. They're quiet, invisible patterns that shape how your child sees themselves, how they handle emotions, and how they show up in relationships for the rest of their lives. The scary part is that most of these mistakes look like good parenting on the surface. They're praised by other parents at the playground. They're encouraged by well-meaning relatives. They're even recommended in parenting books written decades ago. But underneath the good intentions, they're teaching your child lessons you never meant to teach, lessons that will quietly follow them into adulthood long after they've forgotten where the lesson came from. Hi, I'm Ava from Baby Brain Blueprint, and in this video we'll walk through 10 of the most common mistakes moms make without ever realizing it, and exactly what to do instead starting today. None of this is about shame. It's about awareness, because you can't change a pattern you've never noticed. Number 1. Rushing to fix the feeling instead of naming it. When your child is upset, the instinct is to make the discomfort stop as fast as humanly possible. So you jump straight to solutions. Don't cry, here's a snack. Stop being sad, let's go play outside. Look, a puppy. From an adult's perspective, this looks like helpful, efficient problem solving. You're not ignoring them. You're actively trying to help. But what your child's nervous system actually learns from this pattern is that their feelings are an inconvenience to be resolved quickly rather than an experience worth understanding. Think about it from their side. They feel something big and uncomfortable, and before they've even had a chance to understand what it is, an adult swoops in to redirect them away from it. Over time, the child learns that sadness or frustration is something to escape rather than something to sit with. They stop learning the actual skill of identifying their own emotional states, because every time a feeling shows up, it gets replaced with a distraction before they can name it. Here's what to do instead. Before you fix anything, before you distract or redirect, name what you see. You're really frustrated right now. That's it. Nothing more. Let the feeling exist in the room for a moment before moving toward any kind of solution. This single shift, repeated over years, teaches your child that emotions don't need to be rushed away. They can be felt, named, sat with, and understood, and only then, if needed, resolved. Number 2. Praising the outcome instead of the effort. You got an A. I'm so proud of you. It sounds supportive. It sounds like exactly what a loving parent should say. But when praise is tied only to results, children quietly learn that their worth is measured by performance rather than by effort, character, or who they actually are as a person. This creates a fragile kind of confidence, one that depends entirely on continued success. The moment a child who has only ever been praised for outcomes hits something they can't succeed at immediately, whether it's a hard math problem or a new sport, they don't experience it as a normal part of learning. They experience it as a threat to their identity because their identity has become entangled with winning. Instead, praise the process. You worked so hard on that project. I noticed how you kept trying even when it got difficult. This builds a child who values growth over perfection, who can fail at something and still feel like a capable, worthy person, because their sense of self was never dependent on the scoreboard in the first place. Number 3. Comparing them to other children. Your sister never had trouble with this. Why can't you be more like your cousin? Even said lightly, even said as a joke, comparison teaches a child that their value is relative rather than inherent, that they're only good enough if they measure up favorably against someone else in the room. This is a particularly corrosive lesson because it never really ends. There is always someone smarter, faster, calmer, more polite. A child raised on comparison grows into an adult who is constantly scanning rooms for where they rank, who feels a flicker of anxiety at every family gathering, every school reunion, every LinkedIn update from an old classmate. Instead, compare your child only to themselves. You're getting better at this than you were last month. You handled that so much calmer than you would have a year ago. This reinforces personal growth as the real measure of progress, without the sting of a competition they never asked to enter and can never fully win. Number 4. Stepping in before they struggle. Watching your child struggle is uncomfortable, so you jump in. You tie the shoelace. You finish the sentence they're stuck on. You solve the puzzle before they've had a real chance to sit with the confusion. It feels like help, and in the moment, it is help. But it quietly teaches your child that they're not capable of handling difficulty on their own, that struggle is something to be rescued from rather than something to work through. Children build confidence the exact same way muscles build strength, through repeated resistance. If every moment of resistance is immediately removed by a well-meaning parent, the child never gets the rep. They grow up looking capable on paper but feeling secretly unequipped the moment life gets hard and mom isn't there to smooth it over. Instead, pause before you help. Count to 5 in your head. Give them a few extra seconds of struggle before stepping in. Ask, do you want to try first, or do you want my help right now? Small moments of independence, repeated across years, build real confidence. Not confidence you hand them, but confidence they actually construct for themselves out of real experience. Number 5. Using guilt instead of explanation. After everything I do for you, you're going to make mommy cry. These phrases work beautifully in the moment. The child stops, complies, apologizes. But what they're actually learning underneath the compliance is that other people's emotions are their responsibility to manage, a pattern that will quietly follow them into every relationship they'll ever have, romantic, professional, and otherwise. This is how you end up with adults who feel physically unable to say no, who apologize reflexively for things that aren't their fault, who stay in draining situations because some part of them still believes it's their job to prevent other people's disappointment. Instead, explain the actual, honest reason behind a rule or a request. We're leaving now because it's getting late and everyone needs to rest for tomorrow. This teaches logic, cause, and respect for boundaries, not an invisible debt of emotional labor the child will spend the rest of their life quietly repaying. Number 6. Apologizing for them instead of letting them apologize. Your child does something wrong. Maybe they snap at a sibling or a friend, and to smooth things over quickly and avoid an awkward moment, you say sorry on their behalf. It feels efficient. It resolves the tension in 5 seconds instead of 5 minutes. But it quietly robs your child of the chance to build the internal muscle of accountability. An apology that a parent delivers on a child's behalf teaches performance, not repair. The child learns that conflict gets smoothed over by someone else, that they don't actually have to sit with the discomfort of having hurt someone or figure out what to do about it. Instead, gently guide them to it, even if it takes longer and feels more awkward in the moment. What do you think you could say to your friend right now? It takes more patience, but it's the difference between raising a child who performs an apology on cue and one who actually understands what repair means and how to offer it sincerely. Number 7. Treating good behavior as the absence of needs. The quiet child who doesn't ask for much, who plays independently, who doesn't cause scenes, often gets less active attention simply because they don't demand it. There's always a louder need in the room to respond to. Over time, this teaches the quiet child that being low maintenance is how you earn approval and connection in this family. This is one of the most invisible mistakes on this entire list because it doesn't look like a mistake at all. It looks like having an easy kid. But underneath, the easy kid is often quietly learning to make themselves smaller so they don't become a burden. Instead, actively check in with the easy child just as often as you check in with the demanding one. How are you doing today, really? Make sure your quietest child knows, explicitly and repeatedly, that they don't have to earn your attention by needing nothing at all. Number 8. Modeling perfectionism instead of humanity. If your child never sees you make a mistake, never sees you apologize, never sees you ask for help, they learn a very specific lesson about what it means to be a capable adult. They learn that capable adults don't need support. They just perform competence, quietly, alone, all the time. Children don't learn primarily from what you tell them. They learn from what they watch you do. You can say it's okay to need help 100 times, but if they never once see you actually ask for it, the modeling will always win over the words. Instead, let them see you struggle sometimes, in age-appropriate ways. I made a mistake today at work, and I'm going to call Grandma to talk it through. This teaches more about resilience, honesty, and healthy interdependence than any lecture about feelings ever could. Number 9. Distracting instead of sitting with big emotions. A meltdown is loud, uncomfortable, and often happens at the worst possible moment, in the grocery store, right before bed, in front of other people. So the reflex is to distract, a toy, a screen, a sudden change of subject. It works. The crying stops faster. But it quietly teaches the child that big feelings are something to escape and outrun rather than something a person can move through and survive. Over enough repetitions, this becomes the child's entire emotional strategy for life: distract, suppress, move on, never actually process. And that strategy tends to work fine right up until adulthood, when the feelings that were never processed start showing up as anxiety, numbness, or sudden emotional outbursts that seem to come from nowhere. Instead, stay present through it, even when it's inconvenient, even in public. You don't need to fix the feeling or make it stop. Simply being there while they feel it, calm and unhurried, teaches them that emotions are survivable and that they never have to face them completely alone. Number 10. Assuming love is obvious, without saying it. You know, without a shadow of a doubt, that you love your child completely. But love that is only assumed isn't always love that is actually felt on the receiving end. Busy mornings, distracted evenings, the sheer routine of daily life can make affection feel like background noise instead of something spoken clearly and shown often. This mistake is especially sneaky because most moms genuinely believe they show love constantly through cooking dinner, doing laundry, driving to school. And they do. But children, especially young children, often need love stated in words, particularly right after a hard or tense moment, to fully believe the connection wasn't damaged. Instead, say it plainly and often, and especially right after conflict. I was frustrated with you earlier, but I love you completely, no matter what. This simple sentence closes the emotional loop and reassures a child, over and over again, that conflict doesn't threaten the relationship underneath it. None of these 10 mistakes make you a bad mom. If anything, they make you a completely normal, human mom, and probably one who is parented in almost exactly the same way herself, without ever choosing it consciously. The goal here was never perfection. It's awareness. Because once you actually notice a pattern, you already hold the power to shift it one small moment at a time. And that's really the whole secret hiding underneath every single point on this list. It's never one perfect day that shapes a child's sense of self. It's 1,000 ordinary, unremarkable days, handled just a little differently than the day before, that quietly add up to who your child becomes. If this video helped you notice something you hadn't seen before, let me know in the comments which mistake hit closest to home, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos on raising emotionally secure, confident kids.